Welcome back, everyone. So we had just a very interesting discussion about the space industry in Portugal, and now we will start looking at the defense industry with the workshop contributing to a safer world and outlook on the Portuguese defense landscape. So the objective here is a little bit to demystify what is the defense sector. I mean, it's also something that it has been growing a lot on the last days, also leveraging a lot the dual use of technology that is created on the military, then it goes to adjacent sectors also. And so we have a lot of things happening here in Portugal, like in communications, textiles, whatever. And so the objective of this workshop is really to show, I mean, how Portugal and their companies are contributing to what we all want to be a safer world. So in the panel with me, I have Luís Teixeira, which is the Business Development Manager at ETI. Thank you very much, Luís, for coming. We have José Luís Reis, which is Head of Institutional Relations at AED. And we have Catarina Bastos, which is a Product Manager and BIM Manager at DEIMOS. So the objective here was also to try to diversify a little bit with the different solutions, either from space, from aeronautics, from communications, training. So just really to show everyone that there's already a lot of interesting stuff going on. And so with no further ado, I will pass to Luís Teixeira so that he can show us the great stuff that they are doing at ETI. Luís, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will share my screen. Okay, thank you very much for allowing ETI to show what we developed. We work in the training market, so for defense, so we need to be innovative, and I hope that I can show innovative products. So briefly, what we are a state-owned company owned by AED Portugal Defence. We are an engineering company that works in the simulation, training, technical documentation, and we also develop some software for some specific items, like for instance, engine test benches. So we are not a software house, but we also developed software. We are below 50 persons, so we are a small company, and we export almost of everything we do. So our clients, our customers are big ones. We work mainly for Embraer, Airbus, OGMA, Northrop Grumman, OGMA, for the aeronautical sector, and for the land sector, we work with General Dynamics. So what kind of products do we develop? We cover all of the training spectrum for platforms. So we can go from technical documentation, then computer-based training, interactive training, which is a sort of free plays, more like a gaming, devices. And we cover also the classical simulators that can be with motion or static. We already have worked with a lot of platforms. In the aeronautical field, we already worked with light helicopters, Epsilon, which is the training platform for the Portuguese Air Force, Super Tucano, F-16, Alpha Jet, C295, CN235 from Airbus Defence, C130, and now we are working on the C390. For the land sector, we worked in the Pandur, with Piranha, with Ulan, Mistral missiles. So we already worked in a lot of platforms. So let me explain a little bit what kind of things we do. In the technical documentation, we produce manuals or parts of data models, parts of the manuals for military aircraft. So it's an pure engineering work where the engineer goes dig in the documentation, in the several sources in the aircraft, and then comprises everything in manuals. So it's a very engineering demanding activity. So we already worked for the C295, CN235, C212, and now we are working on the modernization of the C130. Then we go to computer-based training. And the goal of the computer-based training is to create learning objects, learning assets, to help the trainees to understand how the systems behave. So we have to look at the technical documentation and try to convert it into pedagogical assets. So in this work, we need to have also good engineering skills, but here we have a team of designers that produce high quality design to make the learning process nice. We developed this computer-based training for computers that can also be installed in mobile devices. So this is why I'm showing some examples for the C390 and for the description of an engine. So we have this product already have some interactivity, but not too much, because from the pedagogical point of view, it's not that good that this kind of product has too much movement, and the simulation mustn't be very accurate. It's more to learn. Then we go to the free play segment, and we have produced a product that we call Interactive Procedures Training. In the left, there are two images of the products that we have in Airbus Training Center in Sevilla. And here we can, it's almost a full flight simulator, a complete simulator, but it's a very better solution for training procedures. So the purpose of these devices is to remove hours from the full flight simulators to allow the trainees to train at his own pace or with instructors, the procedures, cockpit preparation, how we can handle with a fire, for instance, as an emergency, a normal procedure, etc., etc. And also this kind of devices also have synoptic panels, as you can see in the figure, to teach how the systems behave. For instance, here we have the landing gear, and we can see how the hydraulics fluids work for the landing gear. So once again, this is the goal of this. The goal for this kind of products is to reduce the number of hours needed for a crew in this full flight simulators, which cost millions, and it's a very expensive device. Now we are working in the next stage, which is virtual reality. We are now trying to create a framework to include the virtual reality in the training. So it's very good. It's a very good tool to change the pure learning by hear and listen, by listen and look at a diagram, to be replaced by something that I'm doing. So we are integrating and starting to integrate virtual reality in the operation and also in the maintenance. So instead of looking at in the tablet to a manual, for understanding how a task must be done, I can have a virtual reality tool that forces me to learn by doing instead of just learning. Learning by doing, it's much easier for the trainee to do the job properly. And now another thing that we do is the classical simulator. So it's a replica of the real platform. We have developed several simulators for the Portuguese Air Force. For instance, this is an Epsilon simulator that we have 2 units in Beja, in the Portuguese Air Force. And nowadays, we are more focused in the land sector concerning the simulation. This figure that I show is from a driver simulator for the Pandur. It's installed in Vila Real, and it's a complete replica of the driver position. So it's more or less like a full flight simulator, but this is for ground sector, so it's much cheaper, of course. But everything was made like if it was in the aeronautical field. So the systems were validated by the original OEMs, in this case General Dynamics, and it behaves exactly like the real platform, and we can train here some exercises that cannot be trained in the real vehicle. For instance, we can train in this simulator a situation where the Pandur is under heavy fire from enemy. That cannot be trained in the Pandur. Other things that we are doing in the land sector is statical training. In this training, we not only train how the systems work, but also the CRM between the crew, resource management between the crew, and the decision taking. So we have a tactical scenario where the crews are inside, and they have to behave and to act according with the tactical solution. So this tactical situation, sorry. So the purpose is not only know how the systems behave, but also to understand what are the best solutions that we must take in a situation. This kind of simulation, besides the crews that are in the exercise, we had computer-generated forces controlled by computers with artificial intelligence in order to make the exercise as close as possible with the reality. Another field of products that we have is the development of visual and air databases. The visual databases that are used in the simulators can be a product that is owned. For instance, in the right image, there is a F-16 simulator, which wasn't made by ETI, but we developed the visual database. On the left, there is a landscape of Botswana, because now we are developing a driver simulator, quite similar to the one that I showed, for a Piranha and for the Botswana armed forces. So we have to create an African environment from Botswana. Now I would like to share what are the tools that we use in our company. So for software development, it's the standard, the C++, C#, HTML5, Qt. Presage's tools are for the development of the visual products. Mac tools, Titan Vanguard, BVS are for tactical environments. GL Studio is to design interfaces. For instance, for the IPTs, we are using GL Studio, Unity and Vuforia for virtual reality, main Unity for virtual reality, and then the design tools that we always need, Adobe 3D Studio Max for creating 3D models. AGLA and this, it's for distributed simulation. And then in the research and development, just we are also working, we had some products. We are working also with AED for the urban mobility. We are working in the interfaces, creation of internal interfaces for this research and development project. We are also working on the augmented reality for maintenance mainly. And the next steps are we have to, nowadays, a few months ago, there was a simulator that was certified with mixed reality. And mixed reality is something that we have to start working with, because I think it will be very disruptive for the training market. And we need to start research and development in this field. And also in UAVs to start to work in the training of pilots and system operators. And that's it, the products that we do. Thank you for your attention, and I pass to Luís the command.
Thank you very much, Luís. A very interesting presentation. I learned a couple of things. I was not totally aware of your investment in the procedures instruction and virtual environment for manufacturing and for maintenance. So that is something that we have to discuss a little bit more also. And I think it's an excellent example of what I was saying about the dual use of technology, right? You know, things are used, you have solutions for civil, you have solutions for military, and of course that has transformed all in this defense industry more and more interesting. So I will get back to you with some questions, and if you have a couple from the audience, I will also give in. But now we focus on a company that has solutions for land and for air. We will now move on to AED, which also will add the naval to the package. And so, José, please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be with you, and also thank you very much for EAD for this additional day dedicated to careers. My name is José Luís, as Reis Santos mentioned before. I'm the head of institutional relations at EID. I have a background of military and special forces officer, and I'm at EID for around 10 years. I will share my screen. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, so what is EID? The main value of EID, it's on the people. We are around 140 employees from several areas. Most part of us have a college degree, mainly on engineering, electronics, communications, software, mechanical, quality, aerospace, etc. The rest, it's the normal on technological domain. It's the networks, computers, automatic machines, etc., etc. So we are located on the south part of Teixeira River. around kilometers from Lisbon, who likes beaches company, the EID, it's the right place to work. We are just 5 kilometers to the very known beaches. And besides that, we are located in Portugal, a country that has more than 3,000 hours of sun per day. It's the first country of destination in Europe and the third worldwide most peaceful country. So at the EID, you have an excellent location and you have excellent teams to make part with. Okay. The company was established in 1983, so we are around 40 years old, and we have as shareholders a British group, AED Portugal Defence, and IAPME, the last ones belong to the Portuguese government. At the AED, we make the design, production, supply, and support of defense communication systems and solutions at the worldwide scale, as I will show you. So here it is. So nowadays we have more than 35 armed forces spread worldwide, as you can see, that use our solutions. The locations are not very exact because I cannot tell you sometimes where the products are because of confidential clauses that we must comply with. So that points are around. As I told you before, we are 140, and most of part of us are high qualified and skilled engineers. 70% of everything that we do, it's for export markets. We invest around 10% of our sales, annual sales, in the research and development activities, located in a 5,000 square meters production area. We have the quality certifications, both ISO and ACAP, which is a NATO quality. It's a must-have. And we are national, European Union, and NATO secret certified. Well, at the AED, we provide the complete life cycle for defense communication systems. When we say communication systems, we say C4I, that for those who are not familiar with this, it means command control, communications, computers, and information systems. In partnership with other companies from our group or outside, we are able also to provide or to integrate other capabilities such as surveillance, target acquisition, and reconnaissance. So as you may see, from research and development, and this means hardware, software, the CAD, the computer system design, etc., to production, prototyping, manufacture, etc., to supply and integration, and to the life cycle through life support of our solutions. We bring substantial added value to our customers and obviously for the country's defense systems. Well, nowadays we live in a world where we take technology as a grant, and we want to be always connected with a very high bandwidth, with the most advanced technology, touch screen, machine learning based, with artificial intelligence. You talk to Alexa, for instance, and you ask her, as I ask, sometimes Alexa, put the air conditioning on, but you know, not too very long ago, things were very different. And I mean that with this, I want to mean that nowadays we live in a world where technology is evolving very fast and the time to mature is also much shorter. Just an example here in Portugal, the first, it was not pure digital, it was telegraphic through Morse. But in Portugal, the first communication by radio frequency, it happened on 1910. It was on this big room. It was a HF transmission, and the content was, please let me know if it's raining in Lisbon. And the distance between the transmission and reception point, it was around 10 kilometers. The main, I cannot say, well, okay. The main interface, human interface, it was the Morse key that it's on the upper right side of the image. Something that nowadays you can exchange by a 5 or 3 nanometers transistor. So, oh, by the way, in 1912, Titanic was sinking using this technology, asking for help. Okay, and today, well, today we live also in defense. We live in a world where we have integrated communication networks in the 5 domains. These domains, for those of you that are not familiar with defense, and also as Rui was saying at the beginning, just to demystify what is defense. Defense is not just guns and so on, it's also a lot of technology on this. The 5 domains are sea, land, air, space, and also cyberspace. Basically, it's what is on the image. And the future, well, when we look for the future, in fact, we are already working on it. Let's see some examples. From the present for the future, what are the challenges and solutions that we see? We see the constant network connectivity. We don't care, or the end user don't care about what technology and how the information goes to him. We just want to be connected. So, but on the background, from a technical point of view, or from a solution point of view, it means that the system may have, or the systems of systems, let's say the solution, may have to manage several networks, being from HF long distance, satellite, from relay UHF in ships or something like that. So that means that the networks need to be configurable to scenario variations. This is especially important on sea, but also on land. They are heterogeneous, and nowadays, and even more, also defense is adopting cloud computing on a private cloud base. Obviously, that we are assisting the rural system more to automation, and obviously the neural networks for machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so on. We'll have a lot of more data to present, to process, and in a short time of period, especially when we are talking about tactical application. Tactical application means the people that are on the front. So they don't have half an hour to analyze data. They just need short and very precise data to take decisions in seconds if they are available. We will have a lot of data fusion, decision support systems, and obviously we will all want to have evolved communications. How? We want ultra safe communications, and we are working already on this, quantum systems. We want them to be broadband, but when it goes for defense, typically you don't have a 4G or 5G mobile phone. You have a very limited spectrum to use. So that means that you need to use higher spectral efficiency types of modulations, which is let's say I have a small space and I have to put a lot of things inside, so I need to be very efficient on the way as I use this space. We want them to be resilient, so that means that we don't want to have drop calls, let's say, in a very easy way, and we want them to be adaptive. That means that if I may have higher throughput, I don't want it to be with lower throughput. So I want to maximize my channel communications more. And if you see, this is the future, but we are already using this. augmented reality, cybersecurity and cyber defense. Sometimes they are not the same thing. An extensive use of sensors, autonomous vehicles and robotization. So what this means? This means that every time more data will be bigger from several locations, and there will be a lot of more processing requirements, and the way as it was done still some years ago, it's not practical and useful for the user at the tactical level and the strategic at the tactical operational strategic levels as we've done it before, because it's a lot of data and there is a lot of information that you have to fuse and to show to the user at the several domains. Then we have the question of interoperability, and this is at the national, European Union, NATO, and federated levels, which is very complex, not only on the, let's say, radio frequency environment and the software protocols and so on, but also on security matters, as you may imagine, because NATO doesn't want to, for instance, and we are a country from NATO, but for instance, there must be edge frontiers on the security levels of the information that is crossed. So this is not an easy task, and this is in real time at a worldwide scale. Multi-domain and federative operations, great use of simulation environments. Today, if we can use an F-16 or F-35 simulator, we will not put the plane on the air. We are assisting to a fully digitalization at all levels, strategic, operational, but also on the front line. And I will show you some cases of this. Increased communications between machines, expansion of command and control solution, and the most important is constant adaptation to emerging systemic threats. Because if there is someone that is, for instance, an expertise on cybersecurity today, tomorrow, the reality may be different, because we are assisting to changes every day, and with artificial intelligence, the game changes. So we have challenges, we have opportunities, and we are on the middle. Challenges generate opportunities, and opportunities sometimes generate challenges. And these technologies that I have been talking about, they are called disruptive technologies. And on defense, we need to find a frontier where there is the possibility of these technologies and granted security, let's say, that they provide for these communities. So, as a resume, we provide complete and multi-level communication solutions for, as I said, for air, sea, land, space, airspace, from strategic to operational and tactical levels. Now I will show you some examples of what we do. It will be just a brief overview, since we have a limited time. For instance, for navies, we provide, or we may provide, the complete communication system of well, warship. There is no other way of saying this. Well, when you think about warship, frontline warship communication systems, I must say to you that it's a very complex solution, because you have to deal with all the internal communications, and there is a lot of systems, subsystems on this. Some of them are more administrative, and what the others are for more demanding operations. You have several networks in multi-level security domains. You have, obviously, if you are in a warship and if you are in the middle of the ocean, you have to use long-range communications, and there is no option nowadays other different from HF networks or satellite communication systems. On top of this, you have the tactical data links in order to provide interoperability between coalitions and other countries. You have a lot of systems inside. So, and you need to grant the security and the full operability of the system during a long time with no failures, because you don't want the communication systems to fail when you need it more. Obviously, that we also integrate the sensors and the unmanned systems. Okay, I'm just going to speed up a little bit. Okay, so just a reference, we have our systems, our solutions in more than 165 warships in 16 countries. This is the AED capability as a group. Besides communications, we also provide a lot of systems. We also provide the same solution, let's say, for armored vehicles in a much more smaller scale. Again, around 60,000 solutions in 14 countries. Soldier systems, fully digitized the soldier system, and also we also provide obviously that the engineering system integration, in which we glue all our knowledge and solutions in order to provide the customized solutions for the end user. So why should you join AED? You will be part of a multidisciplinary and high qualified teams. We are a company that has an open international culture. It's perfect environment, a career. Here you have a good quality and balance of life, including, as I said, Portugal, which is and Lisbon, which is an excellent location. We provide more than 60,000 hours of training per year to our colleagues. Your talent will be part or result in something that is tangible. It will be market driven, and here at AED, your professional path just depends on you. Nevertheless, your culture, your origin, your color of skin, your religion, etc. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, José. It was an excellent presentation. I think you made it quite clear with your first slide of what matters in your company are the people. And that's exactly why we are here. Also, of course, you mentioned a diverse range of expertise. That's also something very, very important for people to understand. Now, these type of companies, they need very different levels of profiles from electronics, from informatics, aerospace. It's always a mix, and there's opportunities for everyone. So everyone should get in touch and try to understand how they fit into it. And of course, I mean, all the slides about the exciting prospects for the future and challenges, and it's all about technology. So for sure, a lot of interesting things for everyone to do. So thank you very much, José, for your presentation. And you made the link to space, with York also. And now we have Catarina Bastos, who will go a little bit deeper on space. Today we had a workshop exactly focused on this. I mean, space is more and more related with defense. Defense needs more and more space, and there's a lot of international European initiatives. And it's time also, and companies have realized that, and we are more and more the space companies involved in defense, which offers, of course, a lot of interesting prospects, and for which, sorry, Catarina will talk about some. So Catarina, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Rui. I will share my screen now. Can you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Yes. Okay. So yes, as Rui was saying, so DEIMOS Engineering started a few years ago in the defense sector, preparing some land in this part. As you all know, DEIMOS is a Portuguese space systems engineering company, usually delivering advanced design solutions like space software systems. We have a highly motivated and specialized team of engineers, and it's a reference player in the European space sector. We have a lot of projects with ESA and now with USPA, and for now, finally, we started with the defense these last years. So what I wanted to talk about today is about two different areas that we are working now here in DEIMOS Engenharia and also in DEIMOS Space. The first one, I think, talked also during these days about the space surveillance and tracking. So DEIMOS started the development of two telescopes, one for surveillance and another one for tracking in Pico do Arieiro in Madeira. And you can see here the two domes and the two telescopes that were implemented there. Usually in this site of optical observations, DEIMOS has been responsible for the development and implementation of the whole system, the part of the telescopes and also the part where we treat the data and process it. So every night these optical observations are done to collect new data for the catalogs, of course upon assessment on the weather conditions. So I can show you how this started. So it was with different phases during these last months. So basically the first phase was to determine the orientation of these optical sensors implementation to be ready for the space surveillance and the tracking. Then there was a phase of works. And finally in the number 3, in picture number 3, you can see the shelter implementation for the telescopes. In phase 4, it was the phase of the placement of these domes for the telescopes and also the support pole for the weather sensors. And in picture 5, you can see here the final results for the site of optical observations in Pico do Arieiro. Then, as I told, we are not only involved in the part of the development and implementation of these telescopes, but also in the developing this National Operations Center, where the whole space surveillance and tracking chain is covered. So basically this is a cycle. So at night it is done, we perform the optical observations. Then at dawn, the data starts to be processing and resulting in some products. And these products should be registered in a catalog if it's not yet registered or if it's an object of interest. Of course, then a plan is made for the next night of observations, and the process starts again during the night with the new observations. What services and capabilities we can do here in this National Operations Center when DEIMOS is actually working? So we perform several services like the collision analysis or conjunction analysis, as is usually known, to prevent possible collisions of these objects, anticipate the maneuvering, etc. We also analyze the re-entries and tracking these re-entry objects or fragmentations, or that will be very hard to estimate in advance. We also look for the fragmentation, so analysis and monitoring of fragmentation events. There's a lot, like tens of thousands of fragments that might be released, and the chain of reaction effect is studied here. And also we analyze the near Earth objects, so monitoring and possible contributions for the worldwide efforts to catalog them. And this National Operations Center is based on Ilha dos Açores in Teixeira, which is called Terinov. So this is a new pole of, as you know, for a lot of activities in space, and we choose here to have the National Operations Center. So this is one of the areas that are basically growing here in Portugal. We have also a lot of work in Spain and collaborations, and here we are working closely to the Portuguese Ministry of Defence. On another activity, we start very recently on these quantum secure communications lines, as you heard in the past talk. So we are going to a world where where security is quite important, and in defense, of course, we need to be sure that this is the most secure possible that we can have. And so one of the motivations here for DEIMOS was this new possible attacks if a quantum computer can be developed, and this, of course, will manage the asymmetric cryptography that we use and that we are based for our communications nowadays. So encrypted data can be stored now, but easily decrypted later. So it's urgent for governments and enterprises and for defense also to protect the data for more than 5 and 10 years. So we are now moving to a new crypto solutions. One of these are these systems that are the quantum key distribution systems. Quantum key distribution is a secure communication method that allows to implement a cryptographic protocol involving components of the quantum mechanics. So these systems are considered as a plausible solution since it counters threats by the quantum computers or on widely used asymmetric encryption. So what happens here, and you can see here in the picture here, so these systems, the distribution of the secret keys is done using this quantum key distribution, and they are performed in order to the information shared being secured. So we consider, for instance, Alice and Bob, and they produce a shared random secret key known only to them. And this key will then be used to encrypt and decrypt the messages. So moreover, the main features of these systems is the ability of these two parties, Alice and Bob, to detect the presence of a third party that could try to gain a knowledge of the key. This is a consequence of the process of measuring a quantum system. So in general, when you are trying to measure the system in the quantum mechanics, you disturb the system, and so you can acknowledge that someone is interfering. So this was our motivation, and our first steps were done this year in June with the first field experiment, just showing to the Portuguese Defence what are the national capabilities in terms of this new area, and a lot of these research institutes are already working in this area for a long time and doing some publications. So what was done here, it was a first time that two buildings separated by 4.5 kilometers. It was between the Estado-Maior-General das Forças Armadas in Restelo until the Comando Aéreo das Forças Aéreas in Santos. And they were connected by a quasi-quantum link. It was not, it was still not a quantum link. It was almost, because of the rates of this distribution of the keys is still not in the perfect limit, but yet the system was not secure against collective attacks, but was considered robust against individual attacks. This demonstrative experience was performed in the same very day that the national consortium here presented and acknowledged that we were awarded the project for the AED program, so the European Defence Agency, which was discretion. And in this project that we will start just soon in November, we have a consortium with the Portuguese companies, Spanish, Italian, and Austrian. And this is basically supported by the member states here presented to develop and design an optical software-defined network that enables secure and resilient communications between these European defense organizations. Why we are using this kind of networks? So software-defined networks opens the network to the potential disruptive technologies like this quantum key distribution and quantum technology in general. So this network will be enabled by these devices to be even more robust against cyber attacks. And also from this project, one of the objectives is to get national resilience in quantum links and cyber technology, since the quantum nodes and also some hardware secure models will be developed in Portugal with companies like DEIMOS and research institutes like Instituto de Comunicações and Instituto Superior Técnico. For this, European defense can benefit from the technology to be effective, not only for the network situational awareness, but also for the cyber situational awareness. So why it will be nice to join us in DEIMOS, because we are now starting these new activities. These are challenges for the defense, so surveillance in one place and the other one secure communications. And this is something that could be quite for the people working in several areas like aerospace, physics, engineering, informatics, and so on. So thank you.
Excellent, Catarina. Another very good presentation. I think you made clear, I mean, the diverse range of applications that we can have, and all the exciting challenges, tapping new technologies like quantum, of course, new realms of technologies. And that, I think, is one of the key messages. I mean, this is a very very intensive high-tech technology sectors, right? So, I mean, we push the boundaries. So for sure, we are able to offer very exciting opportunities for everyone. And you also mentioned the project from the European Defence Fund, which I think it's important also to mention. I mean, this investment we are having in defense is not only at the national level, but clearly also at the European level, with a lot of investment from the European Commission, and that has been allowing all the companies to really come together in big consortiums and really push the technology further, and of course to bring even more interesting things to Portugal and to Portuguese companies to perform. So thank you very much, Catarina. I think we are almost out of time. I think we had a very good perspective of what is happening in defense, and it's a lot, as everyone can see, either looking at land, air, sea, or space and cyberspace. We have a lot of companies that are very much engaged in all these type of activities. As we understand, I mean, there are opportunities for everyone. The profiles are very broad, so everyone should take a look at this, and there's opportunities for everyone. And as you can see, we have companies that also put they will give value to people. So people, the culture that we have now is valuing people, has an important stakeholder, of course, within all this process. So I think not to delay the next workshop. I think we have already a good discussion. I would like to thank you all for participating, and I'm sure everyone, I think, said more or less how to contact. We will be the platform still streaming for 3 days, so people can still go to the platform and access information about these companies, and they have their contacts there. So please use them and try to contact them and understand a little bit better what are the opportunities and initiate the dialogue. So thank you very much, all the panel, for participating, and I'm sure and I hope this will help you tackling some of the challenges in terms of the human resources that, of course, we all need to solve. So thank you very much all for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rui.
Bye-bye.
Bye.